Sexy. Back to some 11th Panzer on the Chir River. Um, I need to read some history about this. So my first inclination. Well, okay. So let's look at intense areas. All right, Slovakia over here. Okay, as you can see, there's only one German unit left, so the Russians are going to take. There's victory points for every one of those city hexes. All right, so they pretty much own them. Um, you know, and not paying attention. There were no victory locations over here other than that. So pretty much the units that are now on the road getting ready, hopefully, to road march before the Russians can get to them, were just to cover those crossings. Even had a very strong armor unit sitting up there that probably could have used somewhere else. All right. Then, as we move down the map right there in the middle, this is probably one of the two biggest contested areas. This is where majority of 11th Panzer armor came because most of the first tank from the Soviets or the Russians was in here. And this ground has really, it's not changed a lot. Get a push from the Germans, get a push from the Russians. Pretty much most of the armor was over there, okay? Then we moved down to the middle of the map and very small fights around this hill, but the Russians have taken this hill, which opens up an alley down to the road down below here. All right, but that's not a major road, so there's no hasty movement on there, at least not for your Russian 6 movement point units. And then the second hottest area was over here along the Chir River, just above the exit point. Just above the exit point here for 11th Panzer. So, one of the victory conditions was points for exiting 11th Panzer units here and maintaining that road all the way over, clear of Russians, like a supply trace, all the way back over to here, which is where 5th Mech, 1st Tank and 5th Mech, they get victory points for exiting units off of there and maintaining a supply route to, I think it was A and B or C. And I don't remember where the other one is. I think it was to A and B over there. So over way over on the edge of the map. Okay, so I'm 3 turns, finished with 3 turns, getting ready to start turn 4. And I have decided it's time for the non-11th Panzer units to start filling in the gaps along the lines so that I can extract 11th Panzer, who, I mean, they're winning over here and could probably do some serious destruction, maybe take these locations. I thought I'd make a dive in here with some armor or some motorized infantry, try to get up here and take some of these. But the Russians are still sitting on whether or not they come in as a die roll thing, but they're still sitting on all that 1st Tank and 5th Mech stuff right there. Hasn't even come on the map. And on this next turn, they'll start rolling, okay? And I think you got to roll. You got one number that if you hit it, something will come on. But then after I thought about that, then I said, you know what? No, we need to start thinking about, I'm thinking extracting the 11th Panzer to try to get what I can. But all these victory point locations, you got the river crossings in this area, you got this town, you got the hilltops. The hilltops are victory points. I don't think I have everything marked on the map. So if I'm going to go with the extraction of 11th Panzer, all these non-11th Panzer units, the Luftwaffe and all these infantry units, are going to need to set up blocking positions. Because if the Russians get down here and cut off the contiguous road from A over to C, doesn't matter how much 11th Panzer I get off the map, they're not going to count for anything because their supply trace is going to be cut off. So we're going to have to work that one hard. Now, fortunately, the Russian mechanized stuff that's on the map is somewhat beat up. And most of these German infantry units have a defense value of 5. You know, it's funny, a lot of the Russian ones have a defense value of 7, so it makes these guys tough to attack. Heck, it's easier to attack the armor and the mechanized stuff than it is to attack these foot soldiers. You know, once they get dug in like ticks, it's hard to get them out of there. So we got 3 turns left. You're ready to start turn 4, and that's in December. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe before I start the next turn, I need to calculate what the potential victory numbers victory points are, to see if I can actually do this and extract 11th Panzer and pull off any kind of victory for the Germans. Because there's not a whole lot of victory locations down to the southern part of this map, I'll tell you that right now. All right, so you got SCS Panzer battles, 11th Panzer on the Chir. We're halfway through it. We're going to drive on, knock out the next 3 turns. Well, you don't knock them out because it's a chit draw, so it takes a little while to do a turn. And maybe reevaluate the victory points and what my strategy is. All right, let's get this up so y'all can see how we've gotten along in this game, and talk to you soon.